Transmitter device activated. Coordinates set for Earth 2.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Earth 2 podcast, your weekly exploration of the DC Comics multiverse and the legacy of their Golden Age characters through the Silver and Bronze Ages of comics. I'm Peter Watson.
And I'm David Steele. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us this week. In a slight interruption to our original plan, we are doing issue 62 of All-Star Comics, published on the 24th of June 1976, less than a week after Paul McCartney's 34th birthday. Just the usual bit of cultural context for you there, listeners, before Peter tells us about the cover.
At the top, we have the Cigar Band. 3 JSAers are coming in on the left. You have Dr. Fate, The Flash, and Power Girl flying in. All-Star Comics, the line of DC superstars. And then an exciting announcement. He's back! The Golden Age Superman in action again. This is actually All-Star Comics, not action. DC, get your act together.
I see what you did there.
30 cents, number 62, October, and production code is 30417. We're approved by the Comics Code Authority, and the logo at the top tells us we're reading The Justice Society of America in All-Star Comics with the Super Squad.
It's very complicated, isn't it? It's unnecessarily complicated.
Certainly is. I mean, the top third's all taken up with text. That's shocking.
It's crazy.
Plenty of action on here. There is a fight mid-air above what looks like an eastern town.
What, like near Parkhead or something? Near Denniston?
It looks kind of Chinese or certainly Asian. This fight is taking place in the sky above this town. We have our hero, Wildcat, but he's strangling Hawkman, who's looking appalled.
He is.
His eyes are wide, his arms are outstretched. Oh my goodness, why is Wildcat doing this? I don't know. Flying in on the right is Power Girl. And coming in on the left, it's the return of the Golden Age Superman.
Fantastic.
There's a caption that says, "A deadly war within the JSA, and Zanadu, the Chaos Master, preparing to destroy them all." And in the background, overseeing all this, is a giant head of a kind of alien-looking figure in a purple hood. He's got horrible yellow skin and giant wide white eyes looking on at all of these events. Could this be Zanadu? Zanadu.
It's such a messy cover. I mean, you know, it's the curve of his collar coming up. You almost feel you need to take a step back and look at this.
Yeah.
It's by Emily Chan. We can see his signature box. Hawkman looks terrific, but I think this is one of the worst Emily Chan covers I've ever seen, because at first you sort of think it's the moon in the background with wide eyes.
Yes.
It could almost be the moon. It looks like the eyes in the collar have been added just for emphasis.
So those of you who are going to take a drink there, don't, because it's not the moon in the background.
Yeah. Maybe take a sip because it looks like the moon. Maybe look at your drink. I don't know. It's a weird one.
I think the fact the top third is taken up by text is really hurting some of the covers in this era.
Yeah, the big band reading with the Super Squad does obscure some of, a little bit of the detail and makes it, if there was a little bit less text at the top, it might be a little better, but it's still quite uneven. Not the best, but the main figures at the front do look tremendous. Right, we shall find out about Xanadu as we jump into the story. We begin now. If you remember, at the end of issue 61, Dr. Fate didn't come out best from the battle with Vulcan, the altered astronaut Christopher Pike. As we pick up from that, a scroll caption at the top of the opening page gives us the credits.
Jerry Conway plot, Paul Levitz patter, Keith Giffen and Wally Wood pacing in pictures. Aided and abetted by Carl Gafford and Ben Oda. That'll be Carl on colours and Ben on lettering. Doesn't actually say that. Anyway, they're presenting the All-Star Super Squad.
And we have a horribly complicated splash image. It's very, very Kirby-esque. I bet it took Keith and Wally hours to draw this. There's a massive, big, purple machine. We can see a blonde fellow lying in the heart of it. He is surrounded by valves and buttons and screens. Sitting up at the top of this machine with a little headset and a microphone in front of him is the Star Spangled Kid. Operating some equipment at the front of the image is Power Girl, and looking at some other equipment is a blonde chap with dark glasses, and we find out obviously very quickly that's Charles McNider. Wildcat is in attendance, Green Lantern is in attendance, Hawkman is in attendance, and we kick things off with another caption that reads,
Welcome to the grimmest gathering ever of the Justice Society and their young allies.
Yeah, so energy is crackling all over the place. There are little sort of collection diodes flashing bolts of electrical energy back and forth between each other, and Star Spangled Kid is obviously in the heart of this. Power Girl operating machines, as I said, and they're obviously trying to do something to revive the blonde chap in the middle. The Star Spangled Kid is saying,
"It's no use, Doc. He's absorbing all the Cosmic Rod's energy, but it's not helping."
Dr. Midnight, or Dr. McNider, then says, "Then we must face facts, my friends, unless we can perform a miracle. Dr. Fate will not live through the night." And of course it's Dr. Fate they're working on. This is Kent Nelson that's lying in the machine. And Power Girl, reading displays and twirling knobs and pressing buttons, replies, "Even his brainwaves weakening, McNider. We've got to do something." And then we see Green Lantern is squeezing, crushing almost Dr. Fate's helmet, as he says, "I already have, Power Girl. I may have let that lunatic Vulcan kill my best friend." And an asterisk takes us to another caption that reads,
"Shown in all its fiery fury last issue, Jerry." And
then, we haven't told you this yet, but it looks as if it's on a screen or maybe just part of the machine. But anyway, the story title for this issue is
When Fall the Mighty.
So, over the page, in reply to Green Lantern's statement that he'd killed Dr. Fate, Wildcat replies, "Oh, shut up, Greenie. Midnight's got work to do." See Dr. McNider with his blind left eye up to some sort of device that he's peering into, and he replies, "Thank you, Wildcat. We all have our work cut out for us. I've located the damage with this infrared scope. So let's give it one last shot, kid." And then we see that Sylvester is plugged into this little cabin with his headset and things connected to it, but also, and it was obscured by a speech bubble in the splash image, we see that his cosmic rod is connected up to this machinery as well. As Sylvester says,
"It'll have to be the last, Doc. Even with this helmet intensifying my willpower, I can't keep the cosmic rod going any longer. Every man has his limit, you know." And tonight, Kent Nelson, Dr. Fate, has reached his. As the life-preserving solar energy plays over him, he quivers, not gaining strength, but stabilizing, only moments from death's chilling touch.
Yes, and there's a great moody shot of Kent Nelson lying there as the energy crackles all around him, and then we pull back to show Power Girl and Dr. McNider, and Power Girl cries, "Hold it! Whatever you did, it worked! I'm getting a solid brainwave again! But it doesn't make any sense. It should reveal his thoughts, and all I'm getting is a fluttering image of an Ankh." And we see an Ankh indeed flickering in the screen in front of her. So, do we start taking a drink whenever we see an Ankh?
Oh, we'd be very drunk very quickly if we did that from now on.
Let's just introduce that and see how we got on.
Excellent. I've just poured myself another G&T.
Without spoiling it, listeners, Peter and I were flicking through a comic the other day that we'll be doing as the crow flies in a couple of years, and we didn't see a single Ankh at all that featured in this story that features Dr. Fate. So let's introduce taking a drink with an Ankh. That works. Right. Hawkman and Green Lantern have moved forward to stand behind Power Girl in the next panel as Hawkman says,
"That's the Egyptian mystic symbol of life. Maybe Fate is trying to tell us something."
"I don't know Dr. Fate very well, but we can't miss any chance." Which Green Lantern says, "No one knows him well, but I do know that Egypt was a very special place for him. You might even say he was born there." Very interesting layout for this next page as GL continues. "Years ago, in the Valley of Ur, an archaeologist died opening an ancient tomb, and the 4,000-year-old man imprisoned there lived again. He was a wizard named Nabu, and it was he who turned the archaeologist's orphan son into Dr. Fate. Maybe more mystic secrets are hidden there, knowledge which we can use to save Kent." And as GL has sort of speechified there's a shot obviously meant to represent Nabu as a giant figure holding the young Kent Nelson in his right hand, and we see Dr. Fate balanced in his left hand, and Dr. Fate's helmet sort of floating in front of him, below him. Very interesting. Hawkman replies to Green Lantern's suggestion, saying,
"Good idea, Lantern. And as chairman of the JSA, I nominate you to follow it up. I have something else to handle."
Dodging it there, Hawkman. Well done. We then cut over to Dr. McNider and Wildcat saying, "Oh man, Doc, listen to that. Hawkie's got to go home and feed his little parakeet. It might starve without him. Wouldn't that be a crying shame?" In the next panel, Dr. Midnight seems to be talking to Green Lantern about the whole situation as he says, "I'm afraid the Star-Spangled Kid will have to remain behind as well, if Fate is to survive until your return." To which GL says, "I'd rather do this alone. Anyway, I owe it to Kent." And we see Sylvester still sat, powering the cosmic rod and the energy crackling over Dr. Fate. Hopefully that made sense, listeners. It doesn't really make sense in the reading, because we then cut to Green Lantern and Hawkman leaving this room, walking through the hospital building. We see they're behind a cordoned-off area and a little sign that says, "This area restricted, hospital personnel only." Green Lantern is saying to Hawkman, "He was my friend. I have to do this."
Ease up, Lantern. I know how you feel, but you can't let this destroy you.
As they move forward, we see another couple of costumed figures have walked in the hospital door. It's the Flash and Hourman. The Flash says,
"Not alone, you don't. You're not Fate's only friend, GL."
And Hourman, making his first appearance in a while, chips in with, "Retirement or no retirement, I'm standing by him until the end." And the nurse behind the counter, for some reason, exclaims,
"What?"
Not sure why that was felt to be necessary, but there you go. Hawkman, seeing Jay and Rex arriving, cries,
"Flash, our man, but how?"
Use your imagination, Hawkman, it could be anything. Hourman replies at the top of the next page, "My JSA signaler still works, and so will I if you let me." To which GL says, "We've never needed your strength more." And Hawkman says,
"Then it's settled. Flash, you accompany GL to Egypt, and our man's miraculous strength can help Hawkgirl on guard duty."
To which Hourman says, "Just like the old days, only what's a power girl?"
"You'll find out, our man, and I think you're still young enough to appreciate her. She's some beauty and some fighter."
As Hawkman and GL walk towards the door, Rex walks towards the camera, almost saying, "Well, give your wife Shira my regards, and I'll see you guys when you return." And a caption under our man reads,
"His name is Rex Tyler, and his superpowers exist for only an hour at a time. But before this night is ended, that hour will arrive, and his aging muscles may well flex for a last time."
We're outside the hospital in the next panel. Take a drink, 'cause there's a full moon as Hawkman takes to the skies,
Yay!
waving to Green Lantern and Flash and saying,
"Good luck, gentlemen. I'll be flying with you in spirit."
and he thinks.
But spirit alone.
And we stay with Hawkman as he flies up over the city, thinking,
Don't know why, but I got a sudden chill in that operating room, and it got worse when Rex mentioned Shira. I'm sure nothing's wrong, but the way the Justice Society's luck has been going, I'd better double-check. One casualty is enough for this week.
And there's a quick slow dissolve, as the caption reads.
But swiftly as the Hawkman flies, we can move faster, reader, as we shift to his destination. The darkened private museum of Carter Hall, made still darker by the looming shadow of an uninvited guest, searching for a very special something.
So this figure then brings out a torch and shines it around, and the captioning resumes.
You see, reader, we know who this man is, and we know what he's searching for. Why his glance passes over valuables objet d'art before the shimmering beam of his flash can move away, until at last it comes to rest on an unmarked packing crate containing a... No, that would be telling.
Yes, and the build up to that final caption, we see the torch flashing over a statue of a Greco-Roman figure and then lingering on this pile of crates in the background. Very, very interesting. We rapidly cut back to Wildcat, Power Girl, and our man, and I'm going to have a conversation with myself. Wildcat kicks it off saying, I'm telling you, lady, next fight we get into, you better not hog all the action. Fair's fair, right? And Power Girl, with one hand to her head in frustration and waving another hand, cries, Fair? I stopped the alien from wrecking the city and you tell me it wasn't fair? Go back to being a heavyweight, cat. And very moody-looking Our Man says, Are you both crazy? We're supposed to be heroes. Isn't it enough that the job got done? This isn't the Justice Society I remember.
No, Our Man, the JSA you remember was quieter, more professional, and guided by the flying figure of its chairman, who no longer can attend every meeting as he did in the past. Now he has more urgent personal business, which grows more urgent with every step the intruder takes.
Yes, there's another great shot of Hawkman flying through the city and another full moon, so you can take a drink, kids, if you like, and then we return to the figure on the torch, walking towards these crates, shining a torch around as a caption reads,
A yellow beam touches a golden puddle, and the man is startled. Not by the beam, of course, but by the puddle. The puddle which is all that remains of an amber cube, a cube which should not have melted, but did, freeing death.
And indeed we get this sort of shot of the melted splodge of amber on the floor and the panicked reaction of the intruder as a golden glow seems to light up his face. And then we see a shadow casting over him. It's a figure with a high collar, looks like he's wearing a cape. And the intruder, wide-eyed, as the beaming white eyes of this new arrival just glow in the middle of its shadow. This page will go on the socials, listeners, because it is very interestingly laid out. And basically, as the shadow looms towards the guy, his torch plays around the room and he screams, "Yeah!" And we pull back to see that he's now being strangled by a giant. I mean, he kind of looks, to be honest, like, I don't know, a member of Boney M, to be honest. It's purple with big collars and shoulder pads and gold detailing and stuff, but his face is like a skull mask. It's terrifying. Pale yellow skin, wide eyes, a huge open mouth with weird sort of growths coming out the bottom. He looks like he's wearing platform yellow and purple shoes. I mean, this is a disco baddie. He's strangling the poor intruder as golden energy crackles all around him. I'm not doing it justice. This is why we decided to do these two issues of All-Star separately, because there is just so much detail in these two. And we probably would have missed the detail in this one if we hadn't done this one properly. And of course, this is the figure that we saw suspended in amber back in issue 61, as Hawkman and Dr. Clyburn looked up at him. And the captioning resumes as the intruder's body drops to the ground.
A crackling burst of energy is followed swiftly by a scream of release, as Dr. Arthur Clyburn surrenders his life to the creature he came to steal. The man-monster had been frozen in the amber, but now he has awakened, and, with his very first act, awakened his hostess as well.
Yes, because as the scream echoes around the building, we see Shira Hall sitting up in bed, flicking on a bedside lamp and thinking,
"What? Carter? Could he be hurt? My God, not again! Not again!"
And then another caption kicks in saying,
"A policeman's wife, they say, must steel herself for the night when her husband doesn't come home. But what of a superhero's wife? What of her fears, given the indescribable menace a JSA member must fight? Even if she is a strong woman, and the former Miss Shira Saunders is, mustn't doubts exist? And fears? Of course."
This captioning is terrible, listeners. I'm just saying it now. I'll come back to it when we do our discussion at the end. This is so overwritten. Anyway, Shira makes her way into the room in the museum that we've just been in with Dr. Clyburn and the intruder, and another caption sets off the top of the page.
But none of them, not even the menaces she herself faced as Hawkgirl, have prepared her for this.
Yes, a great shot of the guy in purple. We can see he's wearing a yellow necklace, which is kind of like Peacemaker's bird symbol.
It is, yeah.
Which is kind of odd.
The Earth 2 Peacemaker.
Yes, wow. Bet you didn't see that coming, multiverse historian. Yes, I have to say that the intruder's face just makes me laugh because he just looks gormless. He's like a big yellow skull just standing there going, But anyway, as he stands doing that, Shira walks in and sees him and remarks,
"The monster from the amber, it's alive. When Carter found it on his last dig, he said it."
We cut to Dr. Clyburn lying on the ground looking up and flames burning off his back. It's horrible. His skin is burnt bright red and he mumbles, "Shira, run! Deadly!" And Shira gets a dramatic close-up where she looks stunning, quite frankly, as she cries,
"Clyburn, you've been burned alive by the monster."
Then the monster gets a close-up as he says,
"No. Punished for looking upon my form unbidden. Punished as you will be."
And then Shira, very resourcefully, moves to grab a little statue that's on a table beside her. She says,
"Not bloody likely, you overdressed mummy. You're not picking on a helpless scientist now. You're fighting a trained superheroine."
And she throws the statue towards the purple guy, but he brings up his hand, creates a little crackle of golden energy, which sends the statue flying in pieces, as Shira can only think,
"Not that I'm doing any better, but part of my training was learning timing, including the time to retreat."
And with that, she legs it. She runs off towards an open door, and we see that the guy in purple appears to be following.
But that exit is no longer open to you, Shira, for, as the inhuman sorcerer gestures, time freezes.
Yes, he gestures with his left hand. A golden orangey glow surrounds them both, and Shira seems to just be frozen on the spot as the purple guy with the yellow skull face finally tells us who he is when he says,
"Come, noisy one, come with Zanadu."
Yes, that's Zanadu spelt with a Z. So yes, how very 70s can you get, quite frankly? Captioning resumes.
The air seems to rend itself into sparkling shards, and you vanish, leaving only a glistening after-image, which shines for hours, long hours which Hawkman will pass staring at it, wondering where you have gone.
Yes, that captioning directed at She-Ra. Again, this is not... We've already felt this as we've been recording. This comic is designed to be read, not read aloud. I hope you're reading along with us, listeners. It'll probably make a lot more sense. And we turn the page and the caption reads.
Meanwhile, half a world away, a figure races so quickly the water below cannot part under his feet, while even Green Lantern can only keep pace by being dragged along.
Quite a straightforward image here. It's the wide open sea, the Flash running along, and Green Lantern tethered to him by a power ring beam, as the Flash says.
Do you really think we'll find something in Egypt to cure fate, GL?
I hope so, Flash, and I hope it doesn't want to come along quietly. I need something to fight. Something to kill. And we see the Allen's ring on his left hand flares brightly as the caption reads.
He's fought many battles before, this Emerald Warrior, and sometimes comrades have fallen, but never one so close, nor so far away.
And we cut back to Power Girl, Wildcat, and Hourman. Power Girl looking out the window as Wildcat says, Doc says he's getting worse, and the kid just passed out from the strain. Funny. Would have thought you'd go first, girlie. He seems to be deliberately trying to wind Power Girl up. Hourman, hearing this, thinks to himself, I don't believe this. Is this what superheroes are like today? Power Girl, replying to Wildcat, cries, Pass out, girlie? Not until I put you out, you half-witted excuse for a... And she punches a vase on a table beside her, which shatters with a... Power Girl then exclaims, "Ope," as Wildcat says, "Watch it, Power Girl, the vase!" And we see the shattered remnants of the vase, as we would say, on the floor. And then we cut to the shattered remnants of another vase, as Hawkman's feet can be seen standing beside it. And then we see him looking down at the destruction and saying,
Statuary. Irreplaceable artifacts that we excavated ourselves. Why would She-Ra shatter them?
And then we see the amber gloop on the floor. And he sees it too and says,
Amber, melted. And that burning after image of She-Ra and the creature, it's all tied into Lemuria. The creature, She-Ra's disappearance, and Arthur Clyburn's death.
And we see that he's looking down at Arthur Clyburn's body. We're told we're continuing the third page following, but I have to mention the full page advertisement for the Rolling Stones' Black and Blue, their best 70s album in my humble opinion. It's a perfect summer record. It's not the weather to listen to just now in the middle of January. Wait a few months, give it a spin. I might put this advert on the socials actually because I love it. It says here, special offer, get a free Rolling Stones previously released single from the Atlantic catalogue by sending in the selection sticker on the back of the Black and Blue album and this coupon too, an address, and we're told that the offer expires on December the 31st, 1976. So basically, it's a comic-style drawing of the cover of Black and Blue. So there's Mick and Charlie and Ronnie and Keith and Bill. And I have to say, Mick, Charlie, Ronnie and Keith look all right, but Bill doesn't. So there we are. If you're a Rolling Stones fan, you might find that interesting. I am a Rolling Stones fan, etc. So, when the story resumes, we're back with Hawkman, who's saying,
Too much. Too many problems together. Once I'd have flown it alone with only She-Ra at my side. Now, I need the Justice Society.
Silently, he flips open the amulet that rests on his chest, revealing a bit of micro-miniature technology. A device which broadcasts a beam of invisible coherent radiation, a beam that flies out into the night from the darkened Hall estate, passing through the towering structures of the city, even through the diligent workers in some still-lighted offices, to the ruined brownstone shell of the Justice Society headquarters, to another electronic circuit, a relay which sends the signal to over 24 select individuals across the globe. Of those, we are only concerned with 4. 3 of them you have already met.
So yes, well done, Peter. Massive amount of captioning there, which runs over a montage of the city at night. We're presuming it's still Gotham. We can see a full moon. We can see a couple of guys working in an office. One of whom looks a little bit like Carrie Bates in that issue of The Flash and that last JLA JSA team-up story we did.
Mm-hmm.
We see the ruined form of the JSA brownstone and a captioning reminding us that issue 60 would tell us about all that. And then finally, we cut to Power Girl, Wildcat and Hourman, with Power Girl and Wildcat still at it, with Power Girl saying, "More trouble? Wildcat, you always get saved by the bell." "That's how it works, lady. when you've been in the ring as much as me. But then we see that one of the clasps on Power Girl's cape and Our Man's hourglass have let up, and Our Man says, "Stop it, you two. Now's your chance to prove that you can do more than bicker." And then the captioning resumes. Bet Peter's glad of that.
Oh, yes. That's a comment from me there. Oh, yes. And as for that fourth member of our cast, he's seen the same signal many times in his career, and each time his response is the same, for he can do nothing less.
Yes, we see a dark-haired man sat at a desk, a large desk, where we can see paperwork in front of him and pens, and he is greying hair, and we can see he's wearing glasses, wears a blue suit. There's a little comms device on his desk, which is lighting up on the left-hand side, a bright light flashing as we turn the page, and guess what? There is another ton of captioning.
Each time he considers his surroundings. The quiet office of the editor of the Daily Star, a major metropolitan newspaper. This time he notes that the next day's paper is already on the press, perhaps even being placed in trucks for delivery at dawn.
Yes, we see him looking very thoughtful and lit by the full moon that's outside, casting him into shadow. So, Max, you can take another drink.
This time he knows his work here is done, his disguise undiscovered for another day. He moves swiftly, surely through the darkness, as though he knows the path by heart. Or perhaps something more.
And we get a better look at this fellow as he moves away from his desk and through the gloom. Obviously, he's recognisable as Clark Kent of Earth 2, because there's his specs, and there's his blue suit, and there's his red tie, and then the captioning comes back.
Finally, a familiar door. A storeroom opens once more. A white shirt is unbuttoned in a time-worn gesture. A figure transformed. The gently aging man, who was once a mild-mannered reporter, is reborn. And a living legend lives again.
And we see the silhouetted form of this transformation taking place, the tie coming off, Kate being whirled round into position. There's a whoosh as this figure moves out of the storeroom, sending paper and cups and rubbers by the looks of things, erasers as you might say in the US. And then we see him in the red and blue, leaping across the city skyline. Take another drink, Max, because there's another full moon, and a figure in one of the other office buildings can be heard yelling,
"Look, up in the sky!"
Yes, that was Superman, incidentally. I didn't get that. And as we skip past all the pages, including, oh, look, an advertisement for DC TV Comics featuring Shazam, Ice's Welcome Back Kotter, and the Super Friends, we arrive at the top of the next page and a caption reads,
Egypt, land of the mystics, the pharaohs, and the bazaar.
How bizarre. Yes, we see a bustling marketplace, as there's even more captioning.
Every day men gather here to sell their wares, their works, their lives. But today, more than every day, for today is market day. The day when people bring that special item to the bazaar.
Yes, and we see one particular stall. There's a white horse with some saddlebags on his back. There's a figure who we don't see his face properly, wearing a purple robe, and he's haggling with the gentleman behind the counter, as it were. And the gentleman behind the counter is saying, "The potion is very rare, my friend, perhaps the last in all the world." And the chap in purple replies,
"That is unimportant. Only tell me that it will do as I willst, and name your price."
See the merchant is holding up a sort of orange gourd, for want of a better way of putting it, and he's saying, "It can do anything, even pierce the veil of time itself."
"Then it is surely that which I seek."
"I rejoice, and shall ask the smallest of prices. Only give me the horse you ride, and the fluid is yours."
"The horse? Never! Keep thy precious poison. I shall seek another."
And he turns and walks away, leaving the merchant to call after him, "But this is the only gourd of it left. Surely a mere horse is a meagrest price I could ask."
"But what if the horse were the only one of its kind left in the world as well?"
And then we're left hanging, as a caption cuts in and says,
More on that next issue. Meanwhile, back to the regularly scheduled stars of this magazine.
Yes, we're back with Power Girl, Wildcat, Our Man and Hawkman. Hawkman standing with his back to his hands on his hips. Rex ranging, just leaning casually on a piece of equipment as he says, "I think we've got this situation now, Hawkman, but what do you expect us to do about it? Besides, stay here and guard Dr. Fate, that is."
"That walking Lemurian relic is my wife, damn it! What good is a justice society if it can't protect its own members?"
"Considering our record lately, Hawk, you ought to be glad that we're still standing," says Wildcat. Or have you forgotten how crummy things have gotten since you let the kids in? And he seems to pointedly look at Power Girl, who says, Really? Did you do better by staying in retirement in the last 10 years? No, but I didn't get the headquarters wrecked either. And we cut to an external shot showing at the top of it the ruined form of the brownstone. And then we get one of those nice cutaway panels that Peter's a big fan of.
Yay!
You know, the underground layout of the brownstone, which Peter will now talk us through.
Speaking of which, reader, let's take this opportunity to give you a spectacular 1-minute tour of the JSA HQ from the wrecked brownstone on down. Yes, there's a lift shaft that goes all the way down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 floors below. At the very top, we have the wrecked brownstone. My goodness, yes, it has been quite badly damaged in the previous issue. But then, underneath that, there's a lift shaft that goes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 further floors. And there's a fantastic key at the bottom which tells us what all these floors lead to. On the first sub-basement, we have transportation. Shuttle jet flies through Crosstown exit, and we can see perhaps the sky sled sort of thing that we saw in that previous issue that Dr. Midnight was flying, even though he was the blind guy.
Of course, yeah.
And opposite that, we have security monitors, and there's a room with lots of computer banks and big screens there. The next sub-basement is the meeting room, and that's where our heroes are currently standing discussing all this. Moving down, next floor, we have automatic defences, which just seems to be a small room with machinery in it. And also, transporter to reach JLA Earth in a separate room. Woohoo, that's your Transmatter cube right there.
That's very interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Next floor down, we've got the sick bay. So if you've been injured, you've got to go down 4 floors to be attended to. That's not exactly good. And opposite the sick bay is the trophy room, which is an interesting place to put it.
Yeah, obviously.
And in the lowest basement, we have the garage. Yes, or garage. And we see some various vehicles there. There's a Batmobile there.
Wow.
There's something that looks like a television detector van. Is that Wildcat's cattle cycle, it looks like?
I think it must be, yeah. I think it must be.
Yep.
I hadn't actually noticed the Batmobile before, but that's bizarre. I mean, there must be a very steep ramp that's going to lead out from this garage.
Oh, yeah, there is a small ramp you can see there, but we don't see how far up it goes. Obviously, right to the top, and I don't know what route it takes.
Yeah, this is a bizarre layout, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very exciting. Very exciting, but yes, I love the sick bay, the trophy room, far down and opposite each other. Hilarious.
We'll have to compare it side by side to the cutaway for the Secret Society of Supervillains headquarters and see which one is the least practical. Be assured, folks, we'll put this one in the socials this week so you can see it and marvel at it yourself. So the conversation returns to Our Man, Hawkman, Power Girl, Wildcat, etc. as Our Man says, "Don't these two ever stop arguing?"
Only when I tell them to, Our Man, and I'm telling them now. We need your muscles, not your mouths. Our Man, you'll stand guard solo. I need the Togetherness twins here to help me solve my problem. Even at that, I'll be short-handed.
But then another voice says, "No, I don't think so." And we see red boots and a red cape as Our Man, Wildcat, Power Girl, Hawkman twirl around to see
Superman.
And indeed, the Man of Steel standing fully revealed, the bright light behind him. Wildcat says in the next panel, "To Riff, now that we got the original, we can send Power Girl back to training camp." Soups replies, saying, "From what I heard, Wildcat, my cousin was filling my boots admirably, even if it was against my orders."
The grey-haired Guardian is the first of the superheroes, the greatest, the Superman of a far-famed golden age. A word of praise from him is the ultimate compliment to most costumed crusaders. But to his heir apparent, it has another meaning.
Yeah, we see Soups putting a hand on Power Girl's shoulder, obviously hopefully to reassure, but she's not into it. She elbows him in the chest, saying, "Don't patronize me, cousin, and don't give me any more orders either. I'm on my own now." "So you are, but you can still listen to my advice, can't you?" "Not anymore. I can't and I won't. We were both infants when our parents sent us away from Krypton. Is it my fault that my father designed a slower rocket, that I stayed young in suspended animation, arriving on Earth years after you began your career? I deserve my chance too." "I haven't stopped you, but you can't learn everything overnight. Give yourself a chance to grow." And then Hawkman cuts in, thank God, saying,
This isn't family court, you two. We have bigger problems, and it's about time we started to solve them.
He walks off, saying,
Hourman, you stay on guard duty. The rest of you can join me. If you're still interested in justice, that is.
Right with you, Hawkman, says Power Girl. I'm for where the action is. As she walks off, Wildcat leans in towards Superman, saying, Soups, old boy, you got yourself one hell of a family there, and I'll kill you if you ever tell her I said so. And as they leave, we see Hourman standing scratching his head, wondering why he bothered as he says, I think I'm beginning to regret getting back in costume. It just isn't the same. If they're not yelling at each other, they're running off without me. As if all I was good for was guard duty.
And on that somber note, reader, we shift scenes once more to a location just outside Tokyo, and a time just after the being named Zanadu disappeared from the Hall estate, to reappear half a world away.
Yes, this is an interesting shot of Tokyo. I have no idea how accurate it is. But we then cut to a sort of rocky plateau area with Xanadu. It doesn't look as if he's wearing purple shoes, and this one just looks like he's got kind of weird claws or talons for feet. But he's standing, gesturing with his right hand. There's a burst of golden energy, and Shira Hall is floating in the air above him. He's looking up at her, and he's saying,
Faster than you thought possible, was it not, woman? But Xanadu can do anything, even keep you outside the realm of time itself, as Xanadu has been beyond time. In the days of ancient Mu and fabled Lemuria, Xanadu was the power, and Xanadu la glory. When kingdoms fell, it was because Xanadu wished it. Then, when the last of them died, Xanadu rested. For millennia I slept in the cube, but now Xanadu wakes. Now Xanadu feeds.
Shira continues to hang suspended in this golden aura as Xanadu looks around and says,
Once more an island civilization has risen. Its souls are ready for me. Xanadu will loose the forces of chaos. The elements themselves will bend to Xanadu's will. Destroy this island, and Xanadu shall feast on the fear that will arise.
And again he's surrounded by a golden glow which seems to radiate out, and we get a nice sort of montage effect round them of the panicked faces of the residents of Tokyo. In the first panel of the next page, we get a close-up of his eye. It's almost his point of view, and we can see bodies dropping to the ground and the pavement as he continues.
It begins. First the strength shall fade, then their very lives.
But then a voice cuts in, saying, No, monster, not their lives, yours. And we see that the JSA have arrived. Wildcat piloting the little Quinjet effort, Hawkman flying beside him, Superman and Power Girl hovering in the air. We can see that Xanadu and Shira are at the top of the volcano that is looming over Tokyo, which we see in the establishing shot. And Soups continues saying, Hand over Shira Hall, Xanadu. And I mean now, as Hawkman says.
Thank the Lord the JSA computer tracked her here in time.
In time for what, Hawkman? Says Power Girl. He's already paralysed the city.
In time to save my wife.
Yeah, obviously. I don't know what Power Girl's problem is there. Superman and Power Girl alight on top of the, what did you call it, the Sky Sled?
Sky Sleds, yeah.
Yeah, we should probably keep calling it that so we don't get a cease and desist letter from Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
They alight on top of the Sky Sled as Soups replies to Hawkman saying, That's our job, Hawkman. You and Wildcat help the people below. Stopping this world record needs more than human muscles. This is a job for Superman. He gets a dramatic close-up as he says this, and Power Girl and Superman leap forward with Power Girl saying, There you go again, cousin, leaving me out. I'm not used to having a partner, Power Girl. Well, get used to it. I'm going to be around for a long time. And as they fly towards Xanadu, we see the Sky Sled and Hawkman banking and flying off as a caption reads,
Suddenly, the personal tensions and bitterness vanish, replaced by the electrifying energies of teamwork in battle, as two superbly trained mortals go to the aid of their fellow man. And the world's most powerful super beings leap towards the most macabre menace of all, Xanadu, he who feeds on chaos.
I've been fighting the whole urge this whole time about making references to ELO and Olivia Newton-John, but we're a few years too early for it, aren't we? I think, in 1976.
I'm not sure.
I'm sure we are. Anyway, as Power Girl and Superman approach Xanadu, Xanadu gestures widely with his arms and says,
What is this? These fleas think to challenge Xanadu. Have they taken leave of their senses?
And this is great because he gestures in the next panel, and his orange energy seems to summon some lava up out of the pit of the volcano and direct it towards the two soups. Xanadu cries,
Here, foolish one, taste the power of Xanadu, the fury of the lava firestorm.
The Earth 2 Firestorm.
The Earth 2 Firestorm making his Earth 2 podcast debut. Yes.
Yes, there is an almighty sound effect as Soups gets struck by this pile of lava, and then it very quickly, well, helpfully, Xanadu says what happens.
See how it hardens, trapping you forever.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's turned green, and we see this gollop of green lava with Superman trapped inside it, dropping to the ground. Power Girl, thankfully though, leaps forward, punching Xanadu with a wow that sends him flying as she says, Nothing's forever, creep, except how long you're going to be paying for hurting Superman. But then Xanadu rights himself, and hovering again, surrounded by his trademark orange glow, he looks down at Power Girl saying,
Each of you is more foolish than the last. You cannot hurt Xanadu. See how I drift away from your mightiest blow.
And then at the top of the next page, he gestures towards Power Girl, nice way that his fingers overlap the side of the panel, as he says,
And see how you shall pay. For the very earth will bend itself to Xanadu's will, swallowing you until the soil is your only gravestone.
And then we see Power Girl looking very panicked as she looks down and says, What? This is crazy! The ground's melting! I can't even jump! She starts sinking into it very rapidly as she cries, Can't grab anything! Falling! It's up to her waist, and then she cries, Falling! And she's gone with one hand sticking out of the ground, but then the captioning cuts back in.
Her struggle is swift and futile. As she sinks into the depths, the silent watcher seems to grin contentedly, drinking in her terror and fear.
Yes, as Power Girl vanishes under the ground. We then cut back to Hawkman and Wildcat. They're down on the ground. We can see that there's some locals lying unconscious on the floor as Hawkman, hands on the hips, says,
Afraid we can't do anything for these people. They're alive, but not much more.
And then we see Wildcat, who seems to be distracted. He can hear something, and we see a sequence of musical notes floating around him as he says, Then where's that music coming from?
Music?
Strange, haunting, possessing. And then Wildcat leaps forward and does a double kick to Hawkman in the back, colliding with a thump. Hawkman down on the ground, Wildcat standing over him as Hawkman says,
What are you doing, you punch-drunk fool?
Doing? Why, killing you, Hawkman. Of course. What else would a member of the Injustice Gang be doing? And a caption cuts in saying,
That's right, reader, there's still more action on the way, 'cause next issue, Superman versus Power Girl, Xanadu versus the JSA, the return of the Injustice Gang, more on the mysterious stranger and the death of Dr. Fate. On sale the third week in August. Wow!
That was an effort.
That was a hefty story. Mm-hmm.
Very chunky. I mean, I probably could have summarised it in broad strokes, but wouldn't have been anywhere near as satisfying. Well done with all that captioning, because there was quite a lot of it.
Yes, Paul Levitt's desperate to make his mark there, I think, with the dialogue and captioning and text.
And I think he's also desperate to hit his word count. Was he paid by the words? Paid by the caption?
He was getting his typewriter ribbons free, so he had a deal.
Did he get a new typewriter for his birthday that year?
Might have done.
Yes, I'm not going to say the captioning was overwritten, but yes, the captioning was a little overwritten, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bit of a retrograde step, in my opinion. But right, let's go back to it. Look at that cover.
Yes. Now, the location was correct, the characters were correct, but Wildcat was not attacking Hawkman in mid-air, and it only happened pretty much in the last two panels.
Yes. And after they split up from Superman and Power Girl.
Yes, very true. Mm-hmm.
Yes, the Defenders 39 award this month obviously goes to issue 62 of All-Star Comics. Wear it with pride, All-Star Comics issue 62.
Yes.
It's as tangible as the derision we give you. Well, nice to see our man pop up and not contribute a huge amount.
Yes, very true. Mm-hmm.
To comment on everyone else's arguing and then get left behind on guard duty.
Yeah.
I think the star of the show here really, though, it's the artwork sort of layout and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very different. I mean, I wonder how much was Wally Wood and how much was Keith Giffen as far as the layouts go, because the design of it is fantastic. I mean, early on, actually from the splash page on, the splash page is very, as you said, it's very Jack Kirby with that big giant machine.
Yeah.
And what I really like about it is, and it's just a fun thing that I noticed as we were reading this, because I hadn't actually noticed it at any time I've ever read this story before, is part of the cover over Kent Nelson as he lies in this giant iron lung mechanism thing, is they've actually used Zipatone over his torso area.
Sure.
So they've actually cut out and used Zipatone on that, and that just looks amazing. It really works.
Yeah.
As a feature. But again, I've not really anything that I remember seeing in any of the stories that we've covered.
Mm-hmm.
So a nice bit of experimentation there.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed in the splash panel, which I don't think I'd noticed before reading it today, was the fact that GL seems to be scrunching up Dr. Fate's helmet.
Yeah, it's very weird.
That's bizarre.
Maybe it's like, remember those glasses you used to get, that, you know, the whole design thing of them was you could crunch them up and they would just pop back to normal.
Sure.
That was a thing for a while. Perhaps Fate's helmet is similar. Maybe you can crunch it up, pop it in your pocket, take it out, pop it on.
And then you talk like that.
Yeah, or maybe he's going to have to stand with a power ring generated hammer and batter it back into shape.
Yep, I think I can get this dent out. Tap, tap, tap. Just in a tap, tap,
Yes,
tap.
yes.
We refer you to the Father Ted episodes.
I think you've got it there, Ted. You're right, though. The layout is astonishing. Like, the page where Dr. Clyburn is strangled.
Oh, phenomenal.
The torch beams sort of lighting up the room as he screams, and then the way that Superman's transformation is sort of picked out. A lot of care has gone into the rendering, obviously.
It's more designed than drawn, some of it, I would say.
Yes, that's a really good way of putting it. I think the artwork is probably the best thing about it. The way it's, I mean, you could read it without all the captioning and it would flow fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But design rather than drawn is a really good way of putting it, because obviously there's the cutaway thing that we discussed as well. And it's a pleasure to look at. There's a few simple panels here and there where the detailing in the background kind of drops out. But then you look at the page, even just the design of Xanadu, I mean, it's very considered. The zoom in on his eye and all that sort of thing. And there's a lot going on. I mean, it's a little bit soap opera, some of the inter-character sort of exchanges. It'll be interesting to see how much of that we get going forward.
Yeah, as we said, it's the Marvel Bronze Age influence seeding their way through all of these, and it's very Paul Levitsky as well, having all the subplots kicking in. Sure. Because obviously that was what he was renowned for in Legion, is the fact that he had a board up, and it's like literally move this subplot on in this issue, move this on, and he had everything planned out well in advance. Yeah. We've got our mysterious purple-robed figure at the bazaar.
With his horse.
Could he be the Earth 2 version of Destiny in his purple robe? Could he be?
Oh, I wonder how long it'll be before we find out.
Could he be the pre-crisis Pandora? Could he?
Hey, mate, it would make sense to be Pandora. You know, wanting that Pandora just going up to buy this liquid which lets you travel in time that this guy just happens to have for sale in this little market town. That's bizarre. Never mind bizarre.
It's a bizarre bazaar. Mm.
I wonder what song we're going to play it with this week.
I wonder.
It's almost an embarrassment of riches, but I think I do feel that the amount of captioning really does kind of
impede.
Trouble is, as we said during the recording, this is designed to be read. It's not designed to be read aloud. And as Pete and I went along today, there was a couple points we had to go back and sort of, wait a minute, let's do it this way, which often happens. But I think we kind of got into the rhythm of it the more we went on. It's very authored overall. Yeah. Via captioning, dialogue, and artwork. It's very... Yeah.
And some of the more unnecessary captions are more conversational than they are actually, dramatic captioning. I must say, I absolutely adore the look of Xanadu. It is striking. There's a touch of the Galactus about it. As you said, he has got Peacemaker's medallion, which I hadn't noticed until you said. It's hilarious. And his big bell-bottom trousers as part of his jumpsuit. And you're right about the feet. It's actually, it kind of looks a bit like hooves in some panels. Yeah. Which is very strange. But yet his face, he looks a bit like, what's he called? Leech, the Marvel character.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah, or Sleepwalker as well, to a certain extent. I'm just trying to think of other characters that he looks a bit like.
I get that exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very striking look. And It's amazing that, after being frozen in time for all those centuries, that he comes out and he happens to be wearing the exact fashions of the day. That's phenomenal.
It is.
I think he's going to be on top of the pops right after Mud.
Yeah. What are the chances of that happening? He'll be dancing with Legs and Co. before we know it. I think when you and I write our DC comic, we're going to have to write the story that explains how Xanadu travelled to Earth 2 from Earth 4 after he planted something which would make Christopher Smith adopt his symbol. Maybe he travelled from Earth 4 to Earth 2, but travelled back in time, which was how he ended up trapped in Amber. He must have helped Peacemaker in some way for him to adopt his symbol. That's the only way I can think of it.
There we are. Mallow, I hope you're listening to this.
Listeners, what do you think about the connection between Peacemaker and Xanadu? You know where to find us.
You do.
Interesting. An awful lot going on in this one. Yeah, and I really dig what you're saying about the Levitt's Claremont style plotting.
Yeah.
That's not always been a DC thing at all. That's always been a more Marvel sort of thing. Marvel started doing that long before DC started doing it. And it's obviously, we've talked about the influence of Jerry Conway and stuff.
Yeah.
Shifting over. But this is definitely a real feeling that things are getting even further, even more Marvel-y than we've discussed in the past, I think.
I mean, you can still read this as a standalone story. Obviously, you don't get the full story, but you would still be hugely entertained by this. I'm thinking about if you bought it as a kid.
Sure.
You'd still be hugely entertained by it. And if you could never find the issue before or after it, then you'd still understand what was going on.
Yeah.
And you'd be intrigued by some of the things that are happening. It just builds. It's building this world. It's building this mythology. It's building the legacy. It's fantastic.
It really is. Part of me's wondering what was Dr. Clyburn up to?
Mm-hmm.
What was he going to try and do that was interrupted by Xanadu killing him? I mean, I wonder if we'll come back to that and find out anything about that. We'll have to pay attention. That's the one sort of lingering thing that's kind of getting me there, apart from obviously Purple Robe guy. Our man obviously on the phone to his agent after this issue.
Yeah, that's also hilarious. Our man turns up and it's like, yeah, it's fine. You just wait here and do nothing. Also, the caption said he'll be using his powers within the day. Obviously, the day hasn't finished yet, but he's not used his powers by the end of the issue. Yes. I like his commentary. His commentary is great because it's basically bringing someone from the past, as it were, to comment on the Bronze Age. Pretty much someone who's last seen in the Silver Age, pretty much commenting on the Bronze Age.
That's excellent. Yes, that's a great point. Very much fulfilling the role of the John Hurt Doctor in Day of the Doctor with his comments about the Doctor kissing and being skinny and waving their sonics everywhere. It's a simple sort of, that's a really good device.
John Hurt.
And he's there as a nice contrast to the bickering between, he's the outsider looking at the bickering of Power Girl and Wildcat and going, what are you doing?
Do you feel that he's maybe representing some of the letter writers who were writing at this time saying, oh, you're modernising this too much. This is what the JSA is.
That's an interesting idea.
Because we have had a few odd comments. So I wonder if that's maybe...
That's a thought.
Maybe just put in to say, look, we respect the past, but we're moving on.
You could be right.
I thought.
You could be right. Yeah. Is that the perfect cue point to take us to the contemporary correspondence?
Why don't we just jump ahead then?
Yes. Listeners, grab your copy of issue 64 and flick to the back, as I'm doing now.
For All-Star Comments.
Yes, I like the header there with All-Star Comments and all the floating heads around. There's Power Girl, Soups, Dr. Fate, Hourman, Flash, Hawkman. Looks like Hal Jordan, actually. Wildcat, Dr. Midnight Robin and Star Spangled Kid. Interesting. So, before the letters, there's a little bit of editorial preamble which is pertinent to issue 64 itself, but there's also a little bit which also needs addressed, I think, when Peter will read it to us and it will make sense.
As for the great GSA/Super Squad debates, we've settled in our own mind in calling the characters who've appeared in this magazine the All-Star Super Squad. Some of them are JSA members. Others might fit under the definition of Super Squad that Power Girl first used in issue 58. And others are just guest stars. But the blanket group name covers them all. Okay? To which we say, not really, no. It's a terrible name.
Oh, the All-Star Super... Yeah. Did it work for anyone? I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, right.
Yeah. Listeners, do you like All-Star Super Squad? Write in and let us know.
Yes. Maybe we'll start a Twitter poll or something. If anyone's still on Twitter. Right, anyway, the first letter goes like this. Just a short note to say that the sequence starting at the bottom of page 13 and continuing on page 14, Clark Kent being signalled and changing to Superman, is one of the finest I've seen in 18 years of reading comics. And that's from Mark Kearns, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Editorial response, short notes and shorter answers are the standard this issue. So, into the next letter. Dr. Fate had better make it, or GL's just liable to crack up.
All this is obviously putting a heavy strain on him, and Wildcat's cracks aren't helping any, says Brian Hollerbach from St. Genevieve, Missouri.
Oh, St. Genevieve, Missouri. Steve, is that anywhere near you? You can have to let us know. I don't think we've heard of that place before. Editorial response comes back in saying, fate's all right, and GL's troubles are just beginning. As you can see this issue. Oh,
spoilers.
There's a little tease for a month or two from now. Next letter reads, you need to review the Golden Age Superman. If you just read the old DCs, you'll see that both Earth 1 and Earth 2 versions of Superman have nearly the same powers, only affected by age, and that's from Mike Mormando, address not given. Gasp.
Wow. Man of mystery, Mike Morando. Editorial response. After scurrying to our bound JLA collection, we note that the original Superman only displayed the mightier powers once in issues 73 and 74, and that was when he was affected by Aquarius's magic. Sorry, Mike, but our Clark Kent will continue to leap over tall buildings with a single bound.
Excellent.
Next letter. Jerry's last issue of All-Star was one heck of a swan song. He's really left you with a lot to work with. It's going to take 10 worlds of imagination to equalise or surpass what he has here. So says Dave Callis from Clayton, Missouri. A lot of Missouri action here.
Clayton, Missouri. My goodness, Steve, you're going to run out of petrol at this rate. Right. There's another short letter that reads, you have successfully established a mystique long since lost in the Superman character. This not-so-super Superman, with his short greying hair and squinting features, is most welcome. Please also consider reinstating the original, simpler, triangular S-shield and perhaps the low neckline with the cape attached at the back. I'm miming that for the benefit of our YouTube viewers. And that's from Arthur England, Dayton, Ohio. I think we've heard from him before. Response to him reads,
Woody did extensive research on the Joe Shuster Superman, and we stand by his version completely. And so do your fellow readers. Actually, we didn't mention that, but a lot of the images of Superman did have that squinty-eyed look that was so classic in the Golden Age, and it was really striking. It was very good.
Yeah, I mean, there's especially the panel when they arrive in China, he gets a kind of low-angle close-up. Mm-hmm. It's very rendered.
Yes.
I think that's a fair way of putting it. It does look like he's got his eyes sort of squeezed shut at all times.
The next letter excerpt says, particularly pleasing was Wally Wood's recreation of the Golden Age Man of Tomorrow. I just sat back and enjoyed it. Every panel from the first that showed a greying Kent through Superman's bounding flight to the last before he was encased in molten stone. Thanks to Wally Wood, we've gotten a glimpse of the original Superman. Perhaps we'll see more? Asks Michael Cerullo from Rolla, Missouri. What's happening? Everyone in Missouri got a free copy of All-Star Comics.
Yeah, everyone that's writing letters this month is from Missouri. Steve, right, challenge extended. You need to get yourself in the car and drive around and get photographs with the names of all of these places. As editorial response reads, only future issues will tell, Michael, although you'll notice that his head is one of those decorating our new letter call logo. A letter call logo which takes up almost a quarter of the page, it must be said. Those characters above represent what we think of as our basic repertory company of heroes, yes, including Hal Jordan. Or is it Dan Richards' Manhunter?
Could be.
It looks like the mask is blue rather than green.
Could be.
Wouldn't it be amazing if he turned up? Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
I'm imagining it right now. The next letter reads, I love it when a mysterious stranger shows up in a story, and I like trying to figure out who he is even better. The stranger's talk, his mission of trying to travel in time, and his precious white horse all lead me to believe that he is none other than the Lone Ranger. Strike that. I mean, I'm not going to say who he suggests, because it's a bit of a spoiler.
Spoilers.
And he continues, and what's this about the Injustice Gang returning next issue? I thought the Injustice Society was on Earth 2, and the Injustice Gang was on Earth 1, and that's from Roger Winston, Lakewood, Colorado.
Editorial response, guilty on both counts. For the first, we plead deliberate planting of clues, with the resulting story in this issue and the next. On the second count, however, Paul pleads carelessness. He did mean the Injustice Society, and we fixed that up last issue.
Oh, we'll have to watch for that then, listeners.
And the final letter excerpt says, Giffen and Wood outdid themselves in the art this issue. Their version of Earth 2 Superman is the best and most accurate I've ever seen. It actually looks like Joe Shuster drew him, says Mike White, Mackinac, Illinois.
And of course, Illinois is right next to Missouri. What the heck is going on? Editorial response to that just really rounds everything out, saying, thanks to all our fans for the fine words of praise. We're trying to be worthy of them in future issues as well, and Golden Age fans can look forward to another treat this winter. Wonder Woman will be going to a monthly frequency and a new look as we begin telling tales from the amazing Amazon's World War II diary. It's the Golden Age all over again, open brackets, again, close brackets, David's emphasis. And you can tune in on these all-new adventures, beginning with number 228 on sale soon. And yes, of course, on the Earth 2 podcast, Peter and I will be covering the little segment of a couple of years' worth of Wonder Woman stories that were set in the past on Earth 2, because obviously it's on Earth 2 and the JSA turned up, and there's that bit with the Sphinx and the Statue of Liberty and everything. I'm looking forward to them enormously. That's your notice to start tracking them down, everyone, if you haven't done so already.
I'm amazed there's never been a collection of that. That'd be great.
Gosh, well, is Dr. Fate going to recover? Is Superman going to stay frozen in stone? What's Wildcat doing to Hawkman? Where is that music coming from? My goodness.
The answers to this and many other questions will be revealed next week. But we've heard what the readers at the time thought. But listeners, what do you think about this story? What do you think about these developments? Are you like our man and thinking, what's going on with this generation? Why can't we all just be friends and be heroes?
Exactly.
Or are you more interested in the soap opera drama? Why don't you write to us and let us know? You can email us at theearth2podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you follow us on social media, because we're putting up some lovely bonus material for this. And of course, every episode.
Oh yes. Plenty. Absolutely plenty. Just you wait, folks. Oh, years in the making.
Good stuff. On Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky, we're at the Earth2 Podcast, and on Twitter, we're at podcast_Earth2, and it is, of course, the number 2 for all of our socials.
It certainly is. As I often say at this point, if you're feeling generous, you could consider going to wherever it is you receive your podcasts and giving us a positive review, or consider sharing one of our posts on your own socials or something like that. And if you're feeling even more generous, you could go to our coffee page and buy us the price of a warm beverage, which Pete and I both need, as we've both been struggling with allergy in recent weeks.
Absolutely.
That'd be heavily appreciated.
Without a doubt.
If not, well, fair enough. On that bombshell.
I've been Peter.
And I've been David, and we'll see you soon for some more JSA action. Sorry, some more All-Star Super Squad action on the Earth 2 Podcast.
Transmatter cube activated. Return coordinates set for Earth Prime.